Hello, 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 hello. How are you all out there? I'm Taze Ransom, the host of the C Note. Before I go into my little spiel, we're going to try this one more time. We done tried it twice already. This is season 3, episode 4, with my very special guest, Miss Fatima Miller. We're going to see if this works on here. Hopefully, it will work on here this time, but if not, I'm going to have to go to the C Note page on Instagram. It says accept. I accepted. Let's see. There we go. Finally. Finally. Thank you, Black Jesus. All right.
Yes, because
I'm just saying.
you got it right. Because he was one of us. So
Well,
you
yeah,
got it right.
but that actually wasn't his name, though. His name was Yeshua.
Yeshua,
Yeah.
yes. Yeshua.
Okay, so don't get me started on all that. But this was quite a chore getting you on here. So how are
Yes.
you? How are you?
Look, I am here.
Yeah.
Hey, one of my cigar brothers came on the
Oh,
live.
one of your cigar brothers. Oh, you smoke cigars for real?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
all right. A cigar smoking sister.
Yes.
All right, all right. But before I go into who you are, which I was not able to memorize all that, of course, I'm just going to say a few things here and there because I did ask you to send me your bio early. You know what I'm saying? Because I got a lot going on right now, and I like to be able to study people's bios. Right? I didn't
Yes,
have a whole lot of
sir.
time to study it, but it's all good. It's all good. But I have this little spiel that I do, and I know you'll give the side eye with me, right? This is the C note. I'm the host called Faith Ransom. This is the C note where we keep it 100 or 100, as we say here in Baltimore, and the real recognize real. And we also see you fake asses out there too. Gotta give them that side eye, right? So we
Yes,
have
sir.
here Miss Fatima Miller. She is a native of Baltimore, Maryland, currently residing in Florida. Where in Florida again are you?
I'm in Tallahassee, Florida. I'm in the northern Florida area.
Tallahassee, Florida. Okay, I
Yes.
don't know much about Tallahassee, Florida. I'm not gonna get on Florida, but I got some things to say about Florida. But I don't know much about Tallahassee. I don't really hear that in the news as much as some of the other places that I hear in
Hmm.
the news, for terrorizing black folks. But anyway, with that crazy governor y'all have, you know, um, the demon. But anyway, that's your governor. But
I didn't vote
she is a
for
Baltimore. Uh,
him. I didn't
I'm
vote
sure you
for him.
didn't.
No,
I'm
I
sure you
didn't.
didn't. But we have Fatima Miller here. She's a native Baltimorean, currently residing in Tallahassee, Florida. She is a model, an actress, a motivational speaker, and a serial entrepreneur, which we're going to get into what exactly that is a little later. She served in the Navy, which I want to talk about that also because I hear about things as far as like being a black man in this country and serving in the military. You know, I don't know how willing you are, how much you're willing to keep it 100, but I want to talk about some things. We're going to talk about your modeling, your acting, and I also want to talk about the military. I'm not going to go against the military or whatever, but I just have some feelings, especially since they talked about recently bringing the draft back, right?
Yes, and I will definitely share how I really view that because I have my views about it, and it may surprise a lot of people, but I have my views
Yeah,
about it.
because I don't like that because they're going to be targeting a lot of young black men, right? Taking our sons, our nephews, and all that away to fight for a country that does not fully fight for them or fight for us, right? So, and because I also, which I was planning on maybe one day doing a film about that, because I've heard about back during World War II and whatever, where black soldiers who risked their lives for this country will come back here and get hung from trees after
When you
fighting
ask
for
me
this
about my
country.
military service, I have an interesting story about that, and it has to do with my family members who served.
So you have somebody in your family that happened to.
No, but just the directives they were given when they were serving during that time, during World War
Mm-hmm.
II.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's interesting. So, what were the directives that they were given?
The directives they were given, I had my grandmother's two brothers were active in World War II. One served in the
Mm-hmm.
Navy and one served in the Army. And
Okay.
when they were going home, my great uncle John, he did his time and he got out. But my great uncle Joseph actually stayed in the military and ended up being
Mm-hmm.
career.
Okay.
And they were both told, that once they got off, they were leaving and, being sent
Mm-hmm.
home, detached from their unit, to be very careful in their uniforms because people were being lynched in their uniforms.
Yeah.
When they were at the bus station, hey, don't go to the bathroom by yourself. Make sure you're going with other, at the time, colored, which
Mm-hmm.
what black people were called.
I know.
Go with other colored soldiers to
Yeah.
the bathroom. Go with other colored soldiers to get something to eat. Don't go by yourself if you can help it. Let your family know that you're coming. Send a wire dispatch to let your
Mm-hmm.
family know where to pick you up from. Don't walk by yourself, because had they been by themselves walking on any of those small southern towns, they could have been lynched, ambushed, anything could have happened to them. So my last of my living great uncles, before he died, I asked him about that and he told me about it. He said, I was told to be very careful in my Navy uniform and not to be by myself. He was like,
Mm-hmm.
we had to have somebody with us. He said, and that is that they were dropped at the different bus depots. Even if it was like maybe two or three of them left, nobody left each other. No matter what branch they were in, they'd be like, hey, come stay with me and my family for the night, or until your family can come and pick you up from the bus depot, because they knew what they were dealing
Right.
with that level of violence, that
Mm-hmm.
kind of racial terrorism at that time. And they were like, hey, we're not going to leave you. Come on, we'll take you to a rooming house, or you come with us and sleep in the living room, but we can't leave you out here by yourself. They knew what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So to hear that from my great uncle's lips while I was serving in the military myself
Right.
was like, wow. And he was like, you don't have to go through that necessarily the way I went through it when I was in during World War II. He said, but you're still a young black person in America. Still be
Mm-hmm.
mindful you're still a young black person in America.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what he told me.
And nowadays it don't matter if you a young black person, a middle aged black person, or an old black person, they
Mm-hmm.
still out here doing what they do to us. You know what I'm saying? And there are still black people still being lynched to this day, because back on February 28th of this year, there was a young black man who was hung from a tree. I'll talk about that, but it gets ignored, right? And there was a young black woman, I believe, that was in Florida, that was found hanging from a tree back towards the end of 2023. Right.
Yes. Yes,
I talk about those
unfortunately.
things. I talk about those things, but a lot of black people ignore it. They don't want to face those things or talk
And we
about it, right?
have to
You
talk
know.
about it because it makes a difference as to how we move about the land. You have to be aware of your
Mhm.
surroundings. You have to make your children aware of their surroundings. You cannot be
Right.
ignorant of how you move. And
Yeah.
even to this day, a lot of people don't know the history of it. They used to have a book called The Green Travel Guide, and it would
Yeah. I heard
tell
about
our
it.
people where we could go safely to eat, the
Hmm.
hotels where we could go get gas, where we could go vacation, where we could go shopping, all
Hmm.
over the United States, and even how to avoid the sundown towns.
Yeah. I
That
heard about those
sundown
too.
town has never went away.
Yeah,
It
I
has
know it
never
ain't.
went away.
And they're not all just way down south either.
No, they're
They're down
all
south, but
over the
they're all
place.
over. They're all over.
They're all over.
Even
And
up here.
because I'm an avid
Hmm.
traveler, I
Hmm.
have the book Sundown Towns in my library. And I actually go online to the website to see where these sundown towns are in these different states. So I
Yeah.
know not to get caught there. I just have to
Right.
be mindful when I'm traveling. And that's something, again, we have to be mindful about how we move about the land, period. You can't
That's
get
my
caught
point.
slipping.
That's my point because we think that if we don't talk about it, it's going to go away. But being silent about it is not going to go away. Only thing that being silent about it does is give them permission to keep doing it, right? Like one of
Zora
my,
Neale Hurston
yeah,
said it best. She
I
said, if
was about to
you
say
are
it too.
silent, you are giving people the consent
Yeah,
to
she said,
abuse
right.
you.
That quote is in my book, which I haven't put out yet, right? That quote is in my book. You know, if you're silent about your pain, they will kill you and say you enjoyed it.
Enjoyed it.
Right.
So we can't be silent.
Because we're
We
not,
can't be
not
silent.
complaining about it. We want to walk around and act like there's nothing happening, that everything has changed, right? We think if we don't talk about it, it's going to go away, or that it can never hit home, you know. And it shouldn't have to take for it to happen to somebody that you know and love for you to care, right? Um,
Exactly. Exactly.
because
And
that's my point, you know. And you wanted to give your how you feel about this draft coming back.
for me, I'm against it.
Hmm.
And it's not just about our young black people,
Hmm.
just all the young people,
Right.
period. You are
Right.
taking their opportunities away, whether they want
Hmm.
to go to college, trade school, become entrepreneurs. How dare you in a country not even guarantee health care, but you want to make these young people possibly go fight a war?
Hmm.
And many veterans, myself included, after we've gone to war for this nation, you don't take care of us.
Right.
You have Korean War veterans not receiving their benefits. You have Vietnam veterans who are still alive. There are not that many of them left, but they're still fighting for their benefits. They're not
Yeah, I
being
know.
properly housed. They're not being properly cared for. They have veterans who are still dealing with PTSD decades
Hmm.
ago, and they're not in their right mind because of them serving their country and doing their duty, and they
Right.
dealt with so many things and fought so many battles on and off the field that people would never imagine. And I am in that number. I'm a
Hmm.
combat veteran. I
Right.
saw and experienced some things that it's very difficult to talk about. And how
I
dare
can
you ask
imagine.
us to go put our lives on the line and then, okay, we're done with you.
Well,
We're
see,
done with you.
I care. Again, it is about all the young people, no matter what their background
Yes,
is. My main
but
focus
especially
is
for
on
us,
for us
given
because
our history,
we're
our unique history,
because
we fought in every single war for this nation.
right, right, because and we're disrespected still just for existing in the skin that we're in. And that has to be my first concern is us because I live in this skin and I have not been in the military, but I have been harassed and assaulted, physically assaulted just for existing as a black man in this country because they do target black people. They do target black people and you don't have to be doing anything wrong, which makes me angry because a lot of black people who are in love with America will say, well, you must have did something for it to happen.
You
No,
don't have
I
to do
didn't.
anything. You don't have to do anything. And unfortunately, I had a run in with the police while I was active
Mhm.
duty in the Navy, and I was in plain civilian clothes. And
Mhm.
I had to go to court. And when I came to court, I came in my
I think you
uniform.
told me about
And
that.
the
Yeah, you did tell me
judge
about
apologized. The judge
that.
was highly
You did
upset
tell me. You did tell me
because,
about that.
yes, I was searched and there wasn't a female officer on site. So my rights were
Mhm.
violated.
Right.
Had I felt like it, I could have sued the police agency for from top to bottom because no procedures were properly followed.
You should have. You should have.
And
But I'm gonna but I'm gonna get off this subject because I know it's heavy. You know, but I do agree with you on all of that and the fact that we need to protect ourselves and our children, right? If somebody's saying something on your end, you're looking at.
no, I just see that someone is watching. I can see that someone's watching.
Okay, yeah, someone's watching. Okay, well, I see that you began acting and modeling at the age of 16,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
So up until that point, did you always have an interest, or did that just come out
I
of nowhere?
always had an
Oh,
interest.
you told me. Okay.
With us being Baltimore City natives, I would participate in the dramatic reading contest
Hmm.
in elementary school. And I saw Essence magazine as a child and Ebony
Okay.
magazine as a child. And for me growing up, seeing Essence magazine and seeing positive images and seeing Black women modeling, and you didn't
Hmm.
see a lot of Black women on the runway.
Hmm.
But when you saw us, you were happy to see us.
Right.
And the thing that made me want to act as a child was seeing Keisha Knight Pulliam on the Cosby Show when she played Rudy.
Rudy. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And I had the honor of meeting her a few years ago.
Okay.
And she laughed because I didn't call her Keisha Knight
You
Pulliam. I
called
just
her
ran
Rudy.
up. I walked up to her and I said, "Can I please call you Rudy?" And she laughed so hard. And she said, "I'm used to it at this point." And I said, "I know your name is, Miss Keisha Knight Pulliam." I said, "But you will always be Rudy to me." And she
Hmm.
said, "Thank you so much." And I told her, growing up as a little girl in the 80s and seeing her and seeing a positive image of a little Black girl made a difference for me as a child because I was elementary school age and I got to see another little Black girl on TV and I could relate to her because I was
Well,
the
see.
youngest and she was the
Hmm.
youngest and she was a little, a little Black girl.
Right. Right. Well, yeah, representation is very important, which we tend to wait on somebody else to give us that representation, which we don't have to do that. We can create representation for ourselves. That's what I'm doing as an independent Black filmmaker and artist. And there are others as well that I know. I know a circle of Black independent filmmakers right here in Baltimore that are doing a lot of great projects. Like one of my friends, Mr. Antonio Mosby, who I did interview on here last year, you know, he just debuted the trailer to his new film called Second Chances,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yesterday. And it looks phenomenal. And it looks like it's a film that has some depth to it, right? Some depth and some multidimensional things to it, unlike a certain Mr. TP. But I'm not going to get on his case because he
Of
likes to call
course.
Black folks he likes to call Black folks who criticize some of his work highbrow Negroes. But we all know what he was really saying in his mind. He was saying uppity Nick. So you know what he was saying. We both
Yes.
know what he was really
And
saying.
in all honesty, we have the right to build our own table. And I love the fact that we are resurrecting that and we are doing it.
Hmm.
And for me, I look at the Oscar shows
Yes.
and
The
the
real
build the
first Black filmmaker.
the
Some
real
people think that
first Black
some
independent
people think that
studio.
Tyler Perry was the first Black
No,
filmmaker to have his own studio. Oscar Micheaux
no.
was in the early 1900s, and he was the first Black man to
Yeah.
have his own studio as a filmmaker.
Yes,
Oscar
indeed.
Micheaux.
So we look at the Oscar show and we
Hmm.
look at the black cowboy movies that they had, Harlem's Goes West, Harlem on the Range. We
Hmm.
look at the Mario Van Peebles and we see the Debbie Allen and we have examples of building your own table and not waiting. And I applaud and commend every last one of us that are building our own tables because it is creating opportunities for others.
Right.
When you kick that door in, you're able to bring in others. You're able to
Hmm.
create
Or,
opportunities and
or
spaces for other talented people.
or not necessarily trying to kick their doors in, but building our own
Building
doors,
our
tables, and
own
doors.
doors, yes. You're
Yeah.
building it. To me, I still see it in my mind as kicking in a door
Okay.
and creating a space
Hmm.
because you didn't wait for that person to build and construct the house. You did it yourself. You kicked your own door in
Right.
and you
I
said,
get
"Here I
you.
am.
I mean,
Here
that's what
I
I'm
am."
doing now. And it may be a struggle and taking longer because, I'm whatever. I'm financially challenged and all that. But it is what it is. But things are still getting done nonetheless. Right? Things are
And
still
that's
getting
what
done
makes the
nonetheless. And I
difference.
would.
And I will say this to you. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Field of Dreams, and he says, "If you build it, they will come."
Hmm.
Just keep building it, and people gonna keep coming. People
Right.
gonna be keep coming, and
But see,
consistency is key.
I'm outspoken, right? Which sometimes makes some people want to ostracize me because I'm outspoken. and I say I'm black first. Um, right? And I'm about using my artistry to uplift the black community. I mean, I don't just go around just knocking Tyler Perry. You know, there are a couple of his films that I actually like, but most of it's just the same old stuff on repeat. It's always focusing on dysfunction and trauma. You would think that no black couple ever has a
A
happy
happy
marriage
ending, right? Or
or
a
a happy
happy or a
marriage,
healthy
period,
marriage. Yes,
relationship.
or a
And
healthy
I happen to
relationship.
personally know, a lot of black couples that have happy relationships that love each other and they're not constantly going through drama all the time, right?
Exactly.
But he
And
doesn't
we
want
need to
to.
see that.
But he doesn't want to portray stuff like that. He just thrives off of the dysfunction, and then he wants to attack people who have supported his work just because they want to see something different or more of a variety. See, when they display all of these stereotypes, right? It's not so much that they're just showing the stereotypes.
Hmm.
My thing is that there's not a balance out there,
And there
right?
has to be some balance.
It,
It has to be some balance.
it's like 90% stereotypes and dysfunction, and a very small percentage, 10% or even less than 10%, because it's probably like more like 9.9% of negative stuff, and a very small percentage of showing black people being positive with each other, showing healthy black relationships, showing healthy black friendships and stuff, right? It's a very small percentage. So that's my thing about all this negativity and stereotypes, because it's not balanced,
It's not.
right?
It's not. And I will say to me, because of your outspokenness, you put me in the mind of Bill Duke.
Really?
Yes, and because Bill Duke
Okay.
is very outspoken, he's very dynamic. He walks tall, he speaks very calmly, and he carries a big stick. And
Mm-hmm.
he's very professional. And Bill Duke's projects have ran the gambit, different types of ranges, different types of balance. And one of my favorite Bill Duke movies happens to be the movie Hoodlum about Bumpy
Okay.
Johnson.
Okay.
And even within him telling a crime drama, you still got to see the human dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
You got to see how Bumpy and his cousin got along with each other.
Right.
You got to see how Madam Queen had taken Bumpy under her wing and treated him and all of the men that worked in her syndicate as family. And they still had a very close relationship with one another.
Right.
And they respected each other. So you
Right.
put me in the mind of Bill Duke. Bill Duke, his projects again, they're mind blowing, they're dynamic, they're different. Everything he touches is something different. And
Yeah.
again,
See,
it's outspoken and it is controversial and it challenges you and it makes you think.
and see, I'm not saying that everything just got to be peaches and cream, just skipping down the street. That's not what I'm saying. Because I realize that people have disagreements and stuff like that, and you got to show that stuff. I
Yes,
also realize that sometimes to get to the healing, you got to show the ugliness that people have to go through. My thing is that a lot of these filmmakers, that's all they do is show the ugliness. They never get to the other side. They never get to the healing part of it. All they want to do is just pile more dysfunction on top of more dysfunction on top of more dysfunction, right? One thing I want to say right quick about Antonio Mosby. I mean, I met him like back in 2018, I think it was 2019. We were in a show together, and then he also, made a brief appearance in my film, my award-winning film, The Eternal Extra, right? Give myself a plug, yeah. My two-time award-winning film, The Eternal Extra. Yes. He appeared in that film. And at one time I heard somebody say about him, that he said that he was not a writer, right? He said he wasn't a writer. Well, here he is. He wrote his own script. Second Chances is a script that he
oh,
wrote.
wow.
He wrote Second Chances and he directed it. And that trailer looks phenomenal. And this is
Yeah.
his first time out. This is his first time out as a writer and director. And that trailer makes me really want to see the movie. And he said, he sent a message to me on one of the posts on his trailer, and he said, "We're about death. We're about depth out here, right? Depth, DEPTH, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
Right.
well, I'm on that same page too, right? About showing depth and all, right? And yeah, I'm very intentional in showing Black people in healthy relationships with one another because we're so much bombarded with always showing Black people attacking each other,
The
right?
negativity.
So right. So somebody has to show Black people loving on each other
Yeah.
sometimes, and not always just going through all the unnecessary, bullshit. His film is called Second Chances because it also there's something else. We don't always get to see. It deals with forgiveness, and we don't always get to see forgiveness between Black people. Black people forgive everybody else.
But
Black people
how
will
do
forgive everybody
we
else, but we don't
deal with one
always forgive our
another?
own people. We hold grudges. We hold grudges against each other, but we forgive everybody else for all types of shit. But we want to fight each other and hold on to
And let me
shit.
tell you
So,
something. Even in my own life, a lot of people are like, how do you deal with forgiveness? I said, number one, the forgiveness is not for the individual that
mhm.
did the dirt or the harm to you. It's for you.
Right,
It's for you
right,
to move
and
forward. It's for
and
you
depending
to
on
release.
right, and depending on the situation and the person, that doesn't mean that you got to still hang out with them, even if you
Exactly.
forgive.
Just
Right,
because you forgave them doesn't mean you have to be friends. I said you can forgive a person and still deny them access to you.
right. Right.
You
You can
have that
still wish
right.
them. You can still wish them well and all that.
Yes.
You know, because there are people that have done me wrong. I'm not sitting around wishing them
No,
harm. I
no,
hope.
no, sir.
I
And
hope
I'm on the same note. I'm on the same wavelength.
I hope they do great. Right. I just don't want them in my space. Right. Because I'm an empath and I feel energy. And when I walk into a room, when I walk into a room, I feel the energy shift because I can feel everybody's energy, right? And that can be
Exactly.
very exhausting.
It can.
That can be extremely exhausting.
It can, and you have to protect that, and it can be draining. So I'm going to quote the great late Tupac Shakur. I want to see you eat, just not at my table. I
Oh
wish
yeah,
you
yeah,
all the
yeah.
best. I
Yes,
want to see you eat, but not at my table. And
right,
that is the truth. That
right.
is the truth.
And see,
So for me,
like I root for people, right? I have no problem rooting for especially for our people, right? And I'm always sharing other Black artists stuff on my page, right? Always sharing other, but rarely will they share my stuff though, right? Rarely will they say anything to me. Like when I accomplish something, they won't say congratulations, but I'm always saying congratulations to somebody else. And a lot of times they won't say congratulations to me because I am outspoken about being Black first. And I guess they don't want to be seen showing me any type
right,
of love because I am so outspoken and they're trying to get a seat at whose table. And I'm not pressed about getting a seat at whose table because I know that comes with a price, right? If you get a seat at their table, they're going to want to control you and tell you what you can and cannot do and say, right? And you can't speak out about certain things when you're at their table. So
exactly,
I'm not trying to get a seat at their table. It is what it is, right? And
exactly.
there's a whole lot of talent here in the DMV, as they call it. Now, some people argue about whether or not Baltimore is a part of the DMV, which I think is stupid, right? To me, it is,
It
right?
is. It
Because
is.
what does it stand for? DC, Maryland, and
DC, Maryland, and
Virginia, right?
Virginia.
And
Baltimore is in
it's
Maryland.
not Baltimore located in Maryland. Thank you. But
Baltimore is located in
some
Maryland.
people want to say that it's not a part of the DMV, but bump those people. You know what I'm saying? So you appeared in what, 2 or 3 films?
I appeared in I would say I did a film. Okay, I appeared in a web series as a
Okay.
day player and an extra. I appeared in a film where I played the Jamaican shopkeeper, Sugar the Underground Queen, and it was really hilarious because of
Where can
having
that go ahead?
having the accent and how I had to use the patois to say certain
Okay.
words. And
Right.
we were filming on site at a gas station, and I had a woman who was like dealing with the disease of addiction, and she was always coming in to the
Hmm.
store to steal. But we had
Yeah.
people who weren't a part of the production and one doing one take walking in and out of the store, and it startled one of the customers, and we had to
Right.
reshoot the whole scene.
Oh
It was
wow.
really funny, and we were trying not to laugh because it scared her so bad. It was an actual customer,
Hmm.
and when I yelled out loud, about the woman stealing from the store, it scared her, and she dropped her stuff.
Oh,
And she was like,
damn.
ah! We were like, what? And then the director was like, cut, because he even started laughing. He couldn't
Mm.
help it. He's like, we just gonna have to film it all
You were
over.
that convincing. All
I
right
was
now.
that
That's what's up.
convincing.
All
And
right,
he was
you
like,
better
we're
do it.
actually filming a film. And he let her know we're filming a film. He said, would you actually like to be a part of it? And she signed her consent form, and the
Okay.
people were walking in and out while we were filming.
You never
And I
know.
really
That's
enjoyed
right.
that.
Be
I really
ready.
enjoyed that.
Mhm.
So that was one
Be-
of the films that
That
I was a part of. And I was also an extra for We Own This City,
yes,
about
that's something.
the
Yeah.
the police
I know what it's
gun
about.
task force. Yes.
I was sent aside to audition for a small speaking role, which I
Hmm.
opted not to do because with the scene that they wanted me to read for, and I was auditioning over Zoom, right? It was about these two biological brothers that were at home on on their front porch, and the police comes and tells them to get off the porch and go in the
Hmm.
house. So an argument ensues between one of the cops, and the character that they wanted me to read for. And so this white cop proceeds to beat this man to a bloody pulp and stomp him and kick him to the ground. And I said to them, I can't do this. I can't read for this. I'm not going to do this because I'm not trying to um, be immortalized on the screen like that by being beaten and kicked and stomped by some white man. I said, I've gone through police brutality in real life,
Yes.
and I'm not trying to reenact that on
Relive your
film.
trauma. And I understand
Right.
exactly where you're coming from.
Right. I'm not trying to be immortalized on film like that either. So and I get taught of seeing films all the time and I know we got to deal with it, but it's how you deal with it and it's how you portray it. You know, um, us constantly showing films with us being terrorized by white folks. I get taught of seeing that stuff, right? Like Toni Morrison said, she's not particularly interested in all that. She's more interested in how black people interact with one another, right? So my
Exactly.
films, even though some of my films may mention race and stuff like that, those other folks are not the focus of it like that. It's how we interact with one another. Because in my newest film, Jumbled Thoughts, which the trailer should be out soon, I do tell the story of a young brother who was viciously killed almost 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years in October.
Mhm.
Rasheen Khan. Yeah, you familiar with him?
I heard it, but I'm not completely familiar with his case.
I forgot where it was. It was down south somewhere, but he was 25 years old. He had a disagreement with his boss, and he felt threatened by his boss, a white
Hmm.
guy. So he said he wanted to go to the police and try to get some help. His car had broken down at the time. So he was trying to get a ride. He couldn't get a ride, so I guess he walked there, but it was far off. The police wouldn't help him, of course. He called his mother after he left the police station and told his mother he was being followed by three trucks of
White
white men.
men. And now okay, and this was in Mississippi, correct?
I believe that's where it was. I know it was down south.
Yes.
Yeah,
And when they ended up finding him, now my memory does serve me correctly.
yeah,
Once they found him, his body parts were scattered all over the place.
he had been lynched,
He had
and
been
they cut his
lynched,
head
and they
off.
cut his head off,
His
and his body
private
parts
part.
were dispersed all over the place.
Yeah, so I mentioned his name in this film. My character mentions his name in this film because I felt like he was speaking to me. Like, don't let people forget about what happened to him, because I posted about that story several times, and it's nobody wants to talk about it, right? How can you hear what happened to him and not want to speak out about it? I
Yeah.
don't I don't understand that. So when we were filming that scene where I'm talking about him, it got to this one part because I had written down certain lines that I was going to say in character, but there were some things that came out in the moment, right?
Hmm.
Where I felt like he was speaking through me. Like there's a part in there that came out where I was talking about Rasheen, but my character was talking about Rasheen, and he was saying, to the people that killed him, please don't kill me. I had my little girl to live for, right? Because Rashim was 25 years old. He was a college graduate. He was into welding and all that, you know. And he had a little girl that was like, I guess she was like 2 or 3 years old,
Mhm.
something like that.
Mhm.
So, and I can imagine him in that moment when he found himself surrounded by them. I'm sure he begged for his life, and I'm sure he told him that he had a little girl, trying to appeal to some sense of decency, which did not exist in those individuals, right?
Yes.
And they still killed him anyway. They probably got off on him begging for his life. So I felt like I had to speak his name in this film, right? Just like when Trayvon Martin died. And there's like a little ode to him in my film, not spoken. You can catch it when you see the film. If you, because I do like different things in my film. I do a lot of symbolism and stuff in my film too. So you have to watch stuff. So
You have to
everything
be
is not spoken.
mindful. You have to be
Everything is
mindful and very
not,
observant.
yeah. Everything is not spoken in my film. So there's a little thing there that you would notice if you really know the story. But if you remember real quickly, we're going to get off this, but you remember real quickly those 911 tapes when Trayvon was attacked, right? And you remember the tape where you could hear those frantic screams for help. Do you remember
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Okay. When I heard that, it broke my heart and it made me cry when I heard it because I knew that was Trayvon crying for help. They allowed that person, that George Zimmerman, to get up in the courtroom and lie and say it was him screaming for help, claiming that Trayvon was attacking him. They let him get in that courtroom and lie. But we all know that was Trayvon
That was
screaming
the
for help.
child. That was obviously a child's voice.
Where they was trying to say all this stuff about, well, sometimes, you know, an older person can sound like that when they're frightened, right? That's what they were saying in the courtroom. But we all know that was a child's voice. We all know that it was Trayvon because, for one thing, the minute or the second that gun went off, those screams
Uh-huh.
stopped just like that,
Immediately.
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 So if that was George Zimmerman being attacked, screaming for help, that those sounds would not have stopped immediately like that.
No, they would not have.
Okay, so we know that was Trayvon, and then they allowed him to go out here and auction off the gun that he used to murder Trayvon with. Did you know that?
Yes.
Some crazy racist paid what $250,000 for that
He
gun simply because.
profited off of
Mhm.
murder.
Yeah, yeah.
He made money off of murder, and that is nothing new. Our murder on American soil has been public spectacle
Hmm.
and made for profit for since the beginning of this country, period. And it has not stopped. It has been public spectacle. I would say it's no longer for profit to the point where it used to be at the turn of the century, where when we
Hmm.
were lynched, they would have the
There you go.
postcards
Right.
or they would have the picnics. It isn't
Yeah.
on that scale,
Mhm.
but that underpinning mentality is still there. That mob mentality is
Yeah.
still there. It's just morphed into something else. It's warped into something else. And for him to be allowed to make money off of murder is past infuriating and it's
Hmm.
past
It is.
disgusting. It's
It
very
is.
sick. It's very sick and it's very deranged. And you can't justify that on any by
I
any
agree.
means. You can't justify it. And when Trayvon Martin was murdered, all I could think was that could have been my son, that could have been
Hmm.
my nephew, that could have been my
Exactly.
younger cousin.
Right.
And for us, it is DNA having memory. It
Mhm.
is also playing into post-traumatic slave disorder that Dr. Joy DeGruy speaks
Yeah.
of so
Yeah. I'm
poignantly,
familiar with her.
vehemently, and openly. And we never have had a chance to heal. We don't get a chance to heal because just when we think we're getting past it, here's another
Right.
incident. Here's another
Right. And just like,
incident. Just
yeah,
like what
just
we're
like,
dealing with now with Sonya Massey. Every
yeah.
time it's something, it's
And,
always something.
and see, it's not just the police doing it, right? Like the people, like those three trucks. Well, I'm sure it was probably some cops involved. Those three trucks of white men, truckloads of white men that were following Rasheen. right? They were probably in different professions, right? Some of them might have been involved with the law enforcement. I wouldn't be surprised. And then there were other ones that probably could have been some politicians or, because racists work in every walk of life,
Every
including in the
single,
medical profession,
every
including the medical
single,
profession.
every
I've had
single
my,
walk of
right.
life.
I've had my run-ins with racist doctors. I was in a hospital once upon a time that unbeknownst to me had a reputation for killing off their black patients, right? And I found out about that later on, but they basically essentially is what they call a teaching hospital, where they have a lot of residents, med school residents there. And so they basically use the black patients as guinea pigs without their permission and knowledge, of course. They use the black patients as guinea pigs for those med students. So many times I woke up in a hospital, I saw a whole bunch of them standing around my hospital bed with clipboards looking at me like a damn science project, right? And they were trying to do all types of stuff to me. Like they took bone marrow from me, which was extremely painful, right? They took
It is,
bone marrow from me,
it's
right?
very
And,
painful.
right. And they tried to do some other stuff to me too. And one of those white doctors came in my room and he said, you know what, you're not doing good at all. You need to start making funeral arrangements, right? He told me to start planning my funeral. He actually told me that, right? I told my mother, I need to get out of here, right? I said,
Exactly.
if I don't get out of here, I'm not going to make it because they were not trying to save
No,
me. They weren't trying to
they
save me.
weren't. They wanted your body for science.
Right, right. And if I had the sense to tell my mother to please take me out of there, I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't be here right now.
And
I already know
it,
that.
it is sad that we have to go through that. It is
Mm-hmm.
beyond sad. It is infuriating. It is frustrating. It is like, well, damn, don't I matter? that,
Yeah,
that, that, uh, really, I got to fight on every type of scale to even have humanity.
yeah.
And
These people take an oath. They
to
take
do
an
no
oath
harm.
to do no harm and to try their best to save lives. But here they are trying to take lives based on somebody's skin color, right? People want to believe that the Tuskegee experiment is in the past, but it's not. It's still going
It's
on
not.
today. Still
And
going
if
on.
they think that we're exaggerating, there's a book entitled Medical Apartheid. Please go read it. Please go
Right.
read it. There is scholarly evidence to back up every subject upon which we're speaking in this podcast right now. And if
Hmm.
need be, you and I can compile a book list and put it out here on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Because
I have no problem disseminating information.
I've even heard of cases where they purposely misdiagnose some black folks with cancer, knowing they didn't have it, but they told them they had it, and they would give them the treatment and all that to kill them off, right? So that's why it's very important to get second opinions and all that, and have your own independent doctors and all, because like we said, those people work. The ones that don't like us, they work in every profession. So we got to be very
Every
careful.
profession.
Right.
So we are
So
constantly
it's not only police. Right.
we are constantly on the chessboard
Mm-hmm.
making moves. And as I stated,
Ooh, see,
our
I'm not going to give away my film. I'm not going to give away my
we are
film. But when you see,
constantly on the chessboard, and everything is Dr. Francis Quest Welsing. Every area of people activity is controlled for us.
mm-hmm,
Everything from how we live, how we move, what we eat, the water we drink, the images we see.
mm-hmm,
So, with you and I both being in this industry, I pick and choose what I take on as projects very carefully,
yes, so
very,
do I.
very
So do I.
carefully,
And see,
because all I can think to me is there is some young black person watching me, and it is important that I give off the best of our people to us, not the
right,
worst, but the best, because we deserve to see the best, as you were stating with what we were saying earlier in the interview. We deserve to see us loving on each other,
right,
being the best for one another, bringing our
mm-hmm,
best to the table. In
mm-hmm,
all ways, we have to have some balance. And unfortunately, in this industry, and I have longevity in this industry, I've seen so much negativity and what I'm seeing now, in many ways, those of us who are building our own tables and our own collectives, it is a quiet purge going on right now of the negativity. It's a pushback. People are
Right.
tired.
I see it.
People are tired. They're exhausted. They're tired of the negativity. They're tired of the negative images. And many people don't know this about me. No, I'm not just a model and an actress. I have a college degree. I am a
Oh,
historian.
yeah, I
So
was
I
going to get to
so
that.
I can
You have your
analyze the
BA, you have your
entertainment
BA in
industry
yeah,
from a
history. Yeah.
historical perspective
Mhm.
and break this down. We have always been painted in a negative light on purpose as propaganda. So it is important to have the Oscar Michels. It is
Mhm.
important to have Debbie Allen behind the camera. It is important to have Bill Duke. It is important to have Ava DuVernay and Chandra Rhimes and yourself and
Mhm.
Brother Mosby. It is important to have those who can build their own table and combat those
And my
negative
brother, I
stereotypes.
would be remiss if I don't mention him right quick. My brother, who I met also in 2018, Mr. Asim Amin. Okay. He's an amazing brother. He's been creating a lot of stuff. He created something that he calls the Actors Academy, Baltimore's Actors Academy, where
Great.
periodically, like 3 or 4 times a year, they have like 4 sessions in a row, every Saturday, um, pertaining to different things in the business, different
Oh,
classes
that's
where you can take classes and
wonderful.
performing on green screen or voiceovers or paying off in a scene, having an acting partner. They teach a lot of different things, right? And then he also created a streaming service, right? Called Stream DMV, right? Where all the films on Stream DMV come from filmmakers, predominantly black filmmakers from DC, Maryland, and Virginia, right? And that's where my film, The Eternal Extra, was at. It's still on there, but right now the Stream DMV is being, remodeled or whatever, and I think they're going to transfer from a site to an app, I believe. So he started Stream DMV, started a streaming service. So that's what I mean about building your own table, right? You don't have to wait around here and sit and wait for Netflix to pick you up.
No, you
You can
don't. You
start
can
your own
build. You
streaming
can
service.
build your own.
Right.
And for me, looking from a historical perspective, and having had the family background that I have, with both sides of my family being involved in various human rights, because it's more than just civil rights. We are fighting.
Mhm.
We were and still are fighting for our human rights,
Yeah.
and to
Our,
have
our born rights.
our natural born rights, and to have various members of my family be involved in so many different
Mhm.
organizations that were fighting for the same thing. And my grandparents all taught me, when you go out there, you represent us and you represent us proudly.
Right.
Back up, spine straight, chin up, do it and do it right.
And
Don't
speaking of
bring
that,
don't bring shame on your people. That's
right.
what I was taught.
And speaking of that, which I made a post earlier, today is a very special day. Today is my beautiful grandmother's birthday, who passed away 9 years ago in February of 2015. Mrs. Annie
Oh,
Ruth, Mrs. Annie Ruth Claiborne Hannah, who passed away 9 years
oh.
ago. Her birthday is today, August the 2nd. So this day is a very special day to me, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to do something later for her birthday. I'm waiting to hear a word on that. I'm not going to say what it is yet, but
Hmm.
it has something to do with my film, you know. Um, yeah. So I think about her. People think about when you say the word ancestors, that you're always just talking about people from centuries ago. It's not just
Mm-mm.
about people from centuries ago. My grandmother is an ancestor now, right? You know, Trayvon Martin is an ancestor now,
Yes,
right? So
yes.
it's not just about people who died hundreds and hundreds of years ago. It's also people that you have known that are no longer here. They're now ancestors, and it's very important to me to make sure that I don't do anything that, you know, my grandmother will be proud of what I'm doing. That's all I'm trying to say,
And
right?
that's how I look at my career. My grandparents would be
My
amazed.
grandfather too. My
Yes,
grand My
My
grandmother.
grandparent, my grandmothers, my
And
grandfather,
my
they would
mother.
be
Yeah.
amazed. Now they would fuss a little bit at some of the apparel, you
Okay.
know, but for the most part, they would still be proud that I tastefully represented myself
Yeah.
and that I was classy and dignified because I would
Hmm.
always see my grandmothers and my great aunts be classy and dignified. And I learned
Same
so
here.
much from
Same
them.
here.
And I
Same here.
learned so much even from my grandfather and my great
Hmm.
uncles. So it
Yeah.
makes a huge difference. And I look at it as if they passed the baton to us. And
Hmm.
every generation has that baton passed to them. And Nina Simone said, you can tell a lot about the people by the way of the artists and the artistry.
Hmm.
So what are we going to say about ourselves in this time and in this moment by the artistry? What are we going to say?
Well,
Because like I said, it's a pushback. People are getting it's boiling to the surface where people are tired of seeing the negativity. They want to see
right.
the positivity. They want to see historically accurate narratives of our people from a B1 perspective, from a Black first
Hmm.
perspective. And
Right.
that deserves to be told. So I am so happy and overjoyed that people are now beginning to speak more about Oscar Micheaux because he
Hmm.
was the first Black independent film studio. And this is
Right.
not to knock or disrespect or throw dirt on Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry came later. Oscar
Hmm.
Micheaux existed over 100 years ago. Over
Right.
100 years
Hmm.
ago, he was a Pullman porter. He
Right.
financed himself independently. He invested. He built his own table.
Oh
He was
yeah,
a
I read up on
landowner.
him.
This
Yeah.
man did it. And I mean, he hustled and he grind and he did it and he did it well. He did it exceptionally well.
Hmm.
He was a
Yes.
one man show. He was a one man operation. And he really did it. He built his own table from the top to the from the bottom up. He did it. So I would say to people, if he can do it, it can be done and replicated
Right.
with no
I agree.
hesitation. It can be
Now, see
done.
what you were saying about being picky. Well, see, I'm also, which I wish I had gotten a chance to meet him, because like Chadwick Boseman is an actor after my own heart. He also could sing too, actor singer after my own heart, because he was very particular about what he would do as an
His
actor,
roles,
and
yes.
he wouldn't do anything that he felt was degrading to our people.
And that's the
And I'm
same
the
with
same way.
me.
And people have asked me, well, if Tyler Perry called you and asked you to be in one of his films, would you take it? I'm like, I would have to see the script first, right? And they were like, what? You were questioning him? You wouldn't just do it? Low? No, I'm not. I'm not just going to do it just because his name Tyler Perry. No, I need to see what he think he's going to have me doing. I'm not going to choose anything,
That
right?
goes for any acting role for me,
Right.
any modeling,
Hmm.
be it runway, ad, print, digital. I'm also curvy and plus size.
Hmm.
And like I said, I'm going to go into even the historical perspective of the mammy figure and
Oh yeah.
how the larger Black woman is made to
Hmm.
be asexual and she's not desirable, and they
Hmm.
make the larger woman, Black woman, unattractive, and that is the mammy caricature. And I'm like, you're not going to do that to me just because I'm tall and I'm
Right.
curvy, nor are you
Hmm.
going to make me look like a Jezebel either or a
Right.
Sapphire. So if people want to know
Hmm.
what I'm talking about, go look up these old stereotypes. And I said, unfortunately, a lot of these stereotypes are alive and well, and they're being acted
Yeah.
out in the
Hmm.
industry in various ways, not only through I would say acting, but also by way of different modeling, also by way of hip hop music.
Yeah.
They're keeping these stereotypes alive and well. So this is the reason why I said I am so picky, because I have a broader, deeper
And Kamala.
analysis of what's being set in front of me,
Right.
and I'm not going to take everything that's sat in front of me. There are, and I'm being honest with you, some scripts that I read and I was like, no, I pushed
Right.
it back. So
Hmm.
people like, this is why I said, this is why I don't take everything that's offered to me.
Yeah.
No is a
Hmm.
beautiful word.
Yeah,
It's a complete sentence. It's a verb.
I've
It's an
turned some stuff down
adjective.
too.
It's
Yeah.
I,
Hmm.
I will say no when it comes to different modeling projects. I have said no because to me, I'm like, no, I'm not going to go out here, with almost no clothes on. What do I look
Hmm.
like?
Right.
No, it's just a simple no. I'm not going to do this. I have a right to say no. And many of us in the industry have been felt like, well, you got to compromise in order to be successful. You got
Hmm.
to
No,
you got to chase the bag.
no.
No, you can keep your integrity and your character and still be successful. So another person that jumps out at me with being in this industry that kept their character intact and stood on business and stood 10 toes down and stood on their principles. To me, there were two more of them that are ancestors, Josephine Baker and Paul
Okay.
Robeson. They
Hmm.
stood on business. They stood up for us and
Right.
they said no.
Hmm.
They didn't take everything that was thrown to them, but they said no. And when it came to how we were being treated, they risked it all. They didn't care. They were like,
Hmm.
no, because if I don't speak up, I know this can happen to me at any given time. I don't care how much money I have. I'm
Yes.
still black.
Yeah. That's
I'm
why
still black.
I also give hey whoever that is. Um, that's why I give Miss Esther Roll her props, the late great Miss Esther Roll, because when they first brought Good Times to her, they wanted Florida to be a single mother, right? And she said she was willing to risk the paycheck, right? You can't find too many black folks today that's willing to say no
No.
to a fat check.
Mhm.
But she said, I won't do that role unless they gave her a husband, gave the character Florida a
Yeah.
husband, a black husband and father for her children, right? Because they wanted Florida to be a single mother, struggling with no husband. And she said, no, I'm not going to do it unless you give Florida a husband and father for her children, right? So she stood on that. And I admire that. You won't find too many black actors and actresses like that today that would stand on that type of principle, right?
Yes.
Sad.
Yes. And her and John Amos, to me, even though they were in the projects, was one of the most loving couples that I saw on television. When you
Hmm.
watch their dynamic as a husband and wife,
Yeah,
they may have had their issues, but at the end of the day, James loved his wife.
right.
James respected his
Yeah,
wife.
he did.
Even when they disagreed with each other, they never disrespected one another.
Right.
And and like I said, I adored their dynamic, you know. And
Yeah.
to me, to see that, I told someone, their dynamic reminds me of my grandparents, my mom's
Okay.
parents. And I
Yeah.
tell somebody, if love not like that, I don't want it. You
Oh, okay. Okay.
if it's not
Right.
like that, where my grandfather would smile at my grandmother from across the room and she would smile at him back. They didn't have to. It wasn't a lot of talking. A
Okay.
lot of
Yeah.
their love was not. A lot of their communication was
Uh-huh.
nonverbal, and it was very beautiful to see their dynamic. Even after they had long both retired, I would see my grandmother get up. Some weekends I would stay at the house with them, even as an adult, just to spend time. You know how it is with your
Right.
grandparents. You still
Yeah.
grandmama, granddaddy, baby, even though you grown.
Yeah.
So I would spend time with them, and I would see my grandmother get up. And the first thing she would do was, my grandfather be watching Saturday. He's still a big kid. He be watching his Warner Brother cartoons. He watching cartoons.
Uh,
My grandmother come downstairs and she kiss him on his forehead and she say, "Sammy, you want some breakfast? You hungry?" And he say, "Oh yeah." And she would cook and she would always feed him first. Now, if the
mm-hmm.
one when we were little kids, she fed the grandkids first. He would insist on that. He said, "No, feed the
Okay.
kids first, then
Yeah.
I'll eat." But once we were adults, grandma would
There you
always get
go.
up and she would feed him first. She would make his plate first.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and she would, and when she and after she made his plate, he would kiss her and tell her thank you. And it was just
Wow.
the appreciation and the gratitude that they had for one another. And when I watch Good Times even now, that
Hmm.
makes me think of the two of them, the gratitude they had for each other. And I said that to me, if the love ain't like that, I don't want it. You know, if we can't be
Right.
grateful for each
Right.
other's presence, I
I
don't
got you.
want it.
I
No,
got
miss me with all that. You know, if we
I
can't be
got you.
grateful, I don't want that. I don't want that. Take
Yeah.
it over there. We can't be
I agree.
grateful. I don't
I
want none of
agree.
that. So yeah, I really do. I admire Esther Rolle was one of those actors that I admire. John Amos is still alive. He's another one that I admired. And I loved, and adored the great late Eartha Kitt
Okay.
because she was just such a different type of a person. She cut the box up and she did her own thing.
Hmm.
And she was like, yeah, I'm black first. I don't care how dynamic I am. I'm black first and I'm going to speak my mind no matter what. And for me to see what those who kicked those doors in for us went through
Right.
and what, like you said, they were willing to risk.
Hmm.
Many of them risked paychecks, careers,
Hmm.
ostracism, everything, because they were like, is somebody coming after me? This ain't about
Right.
me. This is about my community.
Hmm.
I got to do this for
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
future generations
I,
coming after me.
yeah. That's how I am. We're gonna go to your modeling and acting again in a minute, right quick. But that's how I am, right? I could be out here creating stereotypical shit because I know that shit makes money, fat, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sacrificing. I'm sacrificing and being very intentional about what I write and what I do with my artistry because I care,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? If I didn't care, I would be just writing that same type of stupid shit that you know who writes. You
Look,
know,
look, look, I would say the masses write and produce.
the masses write and produce. But this certain Negro that likes to call other black people highbrow Negroes and uppity, you know what, you
Yes.
know, he's been blessed with his own major studio, you know, which he was able to acquire that from all the support he's gotten over the years from black people, going to see his shows, buying tickets for his shows and his films. But now when somebody criticizes his work a little bit, now he gets all offended or whatever, you know, and he has his own studio where he don't have to answer to anybody. And he could be producing all types of films, but he chooses not to produce a variety of films. He chooses to just focus on trauma and dysfunction most of the time. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But as far as acting is concerned, do you have any projects coming up soon? Film
I
projects?
would say I don't have any film. I won't have any film projects probably until next year. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, I'm more so focused on like my academic studies
Okay.
and my modeling more so than
So
the acting.
okay. So when you do get to the acting, are there any type of films that you want to do the most? Any genre of
I,
films?
I would say I want to challenge myself
Mm-hmm.
and branch out and do some action.
Okay. Action. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
I would like to do some action or either some crime drama type things
Mm-hmm.
and a little more speaking. A
Okay.
little more
Okay.
speaking.
So you said you're a motivational speaker.
Yes.
So how long have you been doing it? How did you get into it?
I would say because of the acting experience and with speech and debate from high school, I am beginning to branch out into it. And later on
Hmm.
this year, I'll begin to hold seminars and do motivational speaking and share different experiences from my
Okay.
life to motivate others to not give up on themselves. So
Okay.
it's a natural branch off from what I've been doing for years to grow. And as I say, I would say transformative growth with going into motivational speaking.
Okay. So
Yes.
with you walked in New York Fashion Week before you said,
Yes.
and you graced the cover of certain magazines.
Yeah.
Which
And
magazine? Name the magazine for the people.
Cincinnati Style Report, I was in their issue, short stories about the natural hair issue. I was featured
Okay.
in that issue. I was featured in their summer, spring issue for the swimsuit issue. I was also featured in Style and Soul magazine, F3 magazine. So I've appeared in various independent publications as a
Okay.
published model as
Do
well.
you have any fashion shows coming up soon?
No, my last fashion show was November of last year
Okay.
with the Atlanta Black Wedding Expo, and I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
So you know Miss Jackie Terry.
Yes, I do. She
Okay,
is one
because
of my spiritual
yeah,
sisters.
yeah, yeah. Well, I've known her for a long time from Arena Players in
Very
Baltimore.
awesome and dynamic and
Yes, she
talented.
is. Yes, I've
Wonderful person.
yes, she was in one of my first big role, the play that I was in down there. As a real young boy, when I played David from the Amen Corner, she was in that play. And I have interviewed her on the Casino before also, and
Yes.
she sent me a message when she saw the flyer that I made with you on it, and she said, well, make sure you save this because I want to see it because I'm going to be busy when it's on, but I want to make sure I get to watch it. And I said, well, I said I save all my episodes. I said I even still have the episode that you on, right?
Oh, I would love to see her episode.
Well, I have to tag you in it. I mean, it's on YouTube. I got all of them on
Okay,
YouTube. All
great.
episodes are on YouTube. And I have to send you the link to that.
Okay, great.
You can find it. Um, yeah, and because like my seasons have been all over the place. The first season was like all over the place, and I did like sometimes back to back stuff. And then I decided when I was going to close out the first season that I was going to do a whole week of episodes.
Oh wow.
So I had an episode Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, right? And she was involved in that week, one of those days during that week. Um, I think she was that Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, yeah, I have all those episodes on YouTube. I actually have them. And her episode may still be on Instagram as well, and also on the C Note Facebook page,
Okay,
right?
great.
So I have it there. I can just tag you in it. Try to tag you in the exact episode that she's in, so you can try to go right to it.
Thank you
But yeah, she did.
so much.
She did send me a message because she wanted to make sure that I saved this. I guess she wasn't aware that I save all the episodes, right? So I try to
Mhm.
save all of them, So I will definitely make sure that she sees this. She is a wonderful person, and yeah. One more thing, you called yourself a serial
Serial entrepreneur.
entrepreneur. What
Yes.
exactly is that, and what makes you one?
Okay, a serial entrepreneur. This is my definition, and
Okay.
I will say this: my dad was an entrepreneur. My dad is an entrepreneur. I
Yeah,
have various members of my family that are entrepreneurs, and the way in which my father taught me
I
entrepreneurship,
am too.
yes,
Mhm.
the way in which he taught me entrepreneurship, he said every gift and talent you have should be able to bring you revenue.
Okay.
So he said, hence, he said you can start with one or two talents and then grow and branch out.
Right.
And they build upon each other to not
Okay.
only display what you have with your gifts and your talents, but they are also revenue or income streams, making you a serial entrepreneur.
Ah,
Yes.
okay.
So you are
Okay.
making more than one enterprise off of your
Mm,
gifts, your
I
talents.
got
And even if it's something that is just as something as simple as basically, even if you want to open a cleaning service, even though that may not be your niche,
you.
but you
Hmm.
can partner with someone else to open a cleaning service because you want to come up with a way to help say, okay, you say, all right, I am tired of hearing about people or recidivism or those who are coming home from incarceration not having employment opportunities.
Right.
So you partner with someone who has a niche and a background in industrial cleaning or
Hmm.
janitorial services, and you open up and help them, or you fund their business, or you
Okay.
partner with them to open that business. You are great with marketing,
Yeah.
speaking, reaching others. They know the back. You're the front side of the house. They're the back side of the house, where they're
Gotcha.
able to manage the workers. They're able to go out and recruit the workers. They're able to supervise the workers because they've been in that industry for so long. But you're coming together for the communal good. That's
Okay.
a part of serial entrepreneurship. It's a win-win situation.
I
You're
got you.
helping to solve and meet a need. Besides you using your talent and making it a revenue stream, you're also being a problem solver and bringing a solution. Because
Hmm.
again, our artistry isn't just for us.
I
As I
know.
stated with Nina Simone's quote, your art has to dictate the times. And to me, you have a duty. Like she said, you have a duty to speak about what goes on in the world. You have a duty to speak up. You have a duty to speak and advocate for change. And I don't care who you are, use your platform. If you don't like what you see, speak out against it. Use your art.
You,
Use your
you
creativity. Use your
exactly.
platform.
You already.
Use your entrepreneurship to fund and speak and be the change that you want to see.
Well, you know,
So
I'm already there.
so for me, a lot of people will look at the content that I have and
Hmm.
I'll still speak out. And even if it's not me necessarily saying something, if someone else is giving that voice, it's going to go in my stories
Right.
because the message needs to be heard. You're going to come into my stories and randomly see things about Sudan
Hmm.
and Congo, and you're going to see things about Sonya Massey, and you're going to
Yeah.
see things about independent businesses, small businesses, medium-sized businesses, wherever they may be. You'll
Yeah.
People will see and hear about what you're doing with your
Hmm.
various multimedia projects. Because again, support is free, and and to me, we have a duty to support one another.
I agree.
If you're fussing about not getting support, are you really supporting other people?
Well, see, I'm always, like I said, I'm always sharing people's stuff on my wall, but
Mm-hmm.
they rarely will share mine, right? So, and I get taught of that one-sided stuff, right? I get taught of always sharing people's stuff that never share mine, you know. Um, so I am backing off that a little bit now. If I'm constantly sharing somebody else's stuff and they never can't share mine, I'm backing off. You know, just like my film trailer to my newest film will be dropping soon. You know, and it would help if people would share that. You know,
And you know how I am. I have
I
no problem
know
sharing
you
it.
will. I know
I
you will. And you
have
know I
no
would do this.
problem sharing
And
it.
you know I would do the same for you.
And I have
Right?
no problem sharing it. And I understand where you're coming from because it's not right. It's supposed to
Right.
be reciprocated. And they
Hmm.
miss the opportunity. They miss an opportunity to promote and reciprocate, because I tell people it's not just about the physical currency. People and your interaction with people is currency as well. When
Yes.
you mishandle a network or people in that network, you drop the bag also.
Hmm.
So they're
Yeah.
missing an opportunity to
I got
network with you,
you.
to keep the lines of communication open with you. Because I remember my grandmother used to tell me, you never know who you're going to need in this life. She
Hmm.
said, so when people mishandle you, it's not on you, it's on them. They missed out on a blessing.
I
They
totally
missed out on an
agree.
opportunity. So I'm going to encourage you right now. They missing out on a blessing. They're missing out on being able to further build their own table and advance their own projects by not reciprocating with you. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to throw a little bit of extra in there. They may have to come by your way again. You never
Woo!
know.
Yeah, you
They may have to
never
come by
know.
your way because we in a time where people are spinning the block now. They spinning
Hmm.
the block real
Yeah.
hard.
Yes,
They
yes,
are
yes, yes.
spinning this block and they coming back and they did not exit gracefully and they're trying to come back. And they skinning and grinning with the coming back, thinking that you forgot that they was a snake. And I'm like, a snake only sheds its skin to become a bigger snake. And I didn't forget how you snaked me.
Hmm.
So the answer is no.
Right.
So they are spinning the block and they trying to come back. So I'm like, man, I'm good on you. I'm
And
good
go
on
away.
you.
Yeah.
Right. So, they gonna spin, because
Okay.
I'm telling you, a lot of things are coming to the surface. A lot of people are going to be getting opportunities where I would say a lot of people that have snubbed their noses down at those of us who are out here building our own tables, being independent, collaborating with one another. We're all, besides building our own tables, we're building each other up. And we're
Yes.
all on the come up together. And
Yes.
that's
That's
what
very
makes it so
important.
much sweeter, is that we are all eating at the table together, and it's not in the
Mm-hmm.
spirit of competition, it's in
No,
collaboration.
not at all. Because we're
And it's
all rooting.
peaceful and it's beautiful because we all rooting for
We're
each
all rooting
other.
for each other.
Everybody
Exactly.
that's competing is over there
Mm-hmm.
looking from the outside
Right.
in, and
Right.
then they going want in. And I'm like, nope, you made your decision. You want to
Right.
compete
Mm-hmm.
instead of collaborate. So you're going to have to sit over there with your crumbs and
Exactly.
watch us all collaborate and come up together. So just, stay ready, because they going to try it. They going to try it. They going to
I
try
know.
it.
I know. I
They
know.
going
And I'm not. I'm not going to be rude. I'm
to.
not going to be
Hold on. Wait
rude.
a minute. How you say that side eye?
Oh,
Mm.
the
You
side
see me
eye.
doing a little side eye.
Yeah.
I'm good on you.
Well, I've loved to enjoy this conversation. That's one of the things about one of my friends who watches the C Note. He said he loves it because it comes off like a conversation between friends or whatever. No matter what the topic is, it comes off as a conversation between friends, right?
Yes.
Like recently, I had a friend of mine on here who was a phenomenal recording artist, singer, songwriter, named Devon Howard. He's from Baltimore originally. I don't know if you are familiar with his work.
No,
Are you?
I'm not.
Well, write his name down, please.
Okay.
Devon Howard, Devon Howard,
Okay.
Howard. Go look up his CD, Morning Sun, not SUN, but SON,
Okay.
Morning Sun, and listen to his music. He has a very smooth voice. You can hear similarities in his voice to Michael Jackson and stuff like that, because that's one he loved Michael Jackson. So you can
Okay.
hear similarities to that. He liked Elder Barge, but he has a very smooth sound, and he sings R&B, love songs. He's not singing anything, raunchy. Some of the
Okay.
lyrics, some of the lyrics are sexy, a little sexy lyrics in there, but there's a difference between being sexy and just being raunchy.
Exactly.
Right. So, right.
Exactly.
So I interviewed him last week, the 22nd. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On the C Note. So yeah, go check out his CD. It's on all those streaming platforms, Spotify and all that. He also has like hard copies of CDs and an actual album, LP.
Okay.
He said he always wanted that, to be able to hear his songs on an LP, and he had to go out and buy a record player. He went out recently and bought a record
Oh,
player,
wow.
and his songs have been doing well on the charts over here in the States and also in the UK. His songs have been doing well on the charts. So yeah, definitely check out his music. You know, um, and he's one of the people who I let hear, the only person that I let hear outside of the people who were in the
Okay.
studio, hear the whole hear the whole song, Jumble Thoughts. He's the only one that's heard the whole song,
Okay.
right? Outside of the people that were involved in the studio,
Mm-hmm.
and he gave really great feedback, and he actually loves it. So it was great. It was great hearing that from him, that he loved it. But I'm hoping to drop that out there soon as well. But I want to get a music video done first before I put that song out. Drop a music video
Okay.
with that. So some people are trying to help me with that, because I don't have money like that. So there's people helping me.
It's
God has sent,
coming. It's coming. It's coming.
yeah. I know it's happening. It's happening. So there's actually some people that's going to help me put together a real acting reel, right? Too, so I can put an acting reel out there too, right?
Great.
So because
Great.
I definitely need that. I definitely need that. you know. And I really have enjoyed talking to you, and we are definitely going to do this again. Well, you said you're relocating when?
Um, I'm relocating, I would say, by no later than November of this year.
Oh, okay. And when you go over there, I'm going to have to interview you
Well, I
from
would
here.
say, I'm traveling in November, but I'm relocating, I would say, by like January or February of next year.
Okay. Whenever you over there, I'm going to have to interview you and hopefully be able to come visit eventually and whatever.
Yes, because we being tight, but it's a major project going on. We can't let the cat out the bag. So,
Oh, I know. I understand. I understand. I understand. I understand.
And I'm looking forward to you and I doing that interview and you visiting me once the relocation is complete.
Okay. Well, you said you were going to stop by. You said you were going to try to stop
Yes,
by Artscape tomorrow.
yes, I'm going to try.
Well, again, we're
I'm visiting mom first thing in the morning.
okay.
So hopefully,
Well,
you know,
again,
if she could,
do you remember?
if,
Do you remember the time that we're performing?
you guys are performing at 3, correct?
No, 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 no. Don't come at 3. You'll be gonna miss it.
What
We're
time?
performing. We're performing from 2:30 to 3:15.
Okay, so I
Just
will
for
put it to
45
you
minutes.
this
We
way:
start at
if
2:30.
mom doesn't hijack me, if mom don't hijack me, I'm gonna try and come by, with my sister friend and nab some lunch and come see you guys.
Okay, and so for those of you out there who love the music of Nicholas Ashford and Valerie Simpson, who I absolutely love and adore because they're the epitome of an example of strong black on black love.
Mm-hmm.
And I admire them and the love that they had, their love that has transcended time and space and the grave because he's no longer here, unfortunately.
Right.
He died. He became an ancestor in 2011. She's still here,
Mm-hmm.
thankfully, but their love still lives on through the love that she has for them and the love through their daughters because they had 2 daughters that are still here. And also their love lives on through their music. So this play, well, we're not doing the whole show because the whole show is almost 3 hours long. We're only allowed 45 minutes at Artscape. So we're just going to be doing 45 minutes worth.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we're like doing abbreviated versions of some of the songs, right? So we can fit stuff in for those 45 minutes. So this play, well, it celebrates their music. So we're going to be singing their songs, not just the songs that they did together, but songs that they wrote for other artists as well, like Marvin
Yes.
Gaye and Terrell and all that. We're doing all that stuff. That part, the Motown stuff, like the duets between Marvin and Tammy and all that, that's near the beginning. So don't come late. That's near the beginning part.
You want me to try to get there early? Like I said, if mom bogart me, then I'm gonna have to text you. And it's like mom, done kidnapped me. I'm sorry, mom
Oh,
got me in the
oh
choke.
God, now you know if I'm
Oh,
really in it, I might not look at my phone at the moment, but yeah.
I'll be like, I'm sorry, mama done kidnapped me. She ain't let me out. We gonna be with nobody.
Well, tell
So,
her, I'm sure she love Ashford and Simpson. Tell her, come on
oh,
down there.
she loves Ashford and Simpson.
Mhm. But
Loves
we're
them.
going to be doing, well, and I know she probably loved those duets. We're going to be doing Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing. And
Yes, and see, I grew up on Motown, so that's how I learned about Ashford and Simpson
yeah,
was because
yeah, so
my
we're
mom
doing,
is a Motown person.
yeah, so we doing Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing and um Ain't No Mountain High Enough. And what's that one of the other ones? You're All I Need to Get By. I'm actually singing Marvin's part on Your Precious Love, right?
Okay,
Heaven Must Have Sent You From Above.
love.
That's one of the ones that I do in the show. Um, and there's a song in there that actually they wrote that Ray Charles did, which
Oh
I did not
wow.
hear. I had never heard of that song until this show. It's a song
Oh.
called it's a song called Let's Go Get Stoned.
Oh wow! I need to listen to that this evening. This is the
And
first
it has
time I've heard about that
it
song.
has like a bluesy feel to it, yeah. So
Okay.
I'm doing the second verse on that song. The musical director is singing the first verse on that song. I'm doing the second verse on that song.
Okay.
But yeah, yeah. So hopefully you can make it. Like I said, we're singing from 2:30 to 3:15. That's all we got. They're gonna make we got to be gone by 3:15.
Oh wow.
They're on the
So,
time schedule
but just
because
in
they have
case
different because they have different acts,
acts are
right?
coming on.
That,
So,
that have
but
a lot of
just
time.
in case if mom kidnaps me tomorrow and tries to keep me to herself, and I
Mhm.
don't make it, I'm gonna say here on the broadcast, I know you guys are gonna do very well. So
Thank you so much. Well, I'm
burn that
praying that
stage.
you
Look,
can make
burn
it.
that stage down,
Okay,
please, and
okay,
thank you. Just if in case I don't make it, burn that stage down,
okay.
please and thank you.
We will all
I
try
know
our
you all
best.
are capable. I saw those
Yeah,
clips from your rehearsals. I wanted
yes,
to get here so bad to see you know, come so badly to see you all. And I was like, I wish somebody had taped that performance of the play
hmm
and they were selling it or streaming it, because just your rehearsals and what you all had for
that
your online
the play
promotion
was
of the
written.
show was just great.
The production is written by the great Troy Burton, written and
Okay.
directed by the great Troy Burton. You know, there are some monologues in the show too, in between the songs, some of the songs and stuff. So it's a really great show. It's really well written. Um, and again, it celebrates the music of two of the greatest songwriters ever. Right? They don't get their flowers as much as they should.
No, they
Nicholas
don't.
Ashford is
They don't.
you know, so yeah, so definitely. Hopefully, your mom won't hold you hostage. Hopefully, you can hold her hostage and bring her down there.
We
Right.
look.
So,
You see my fingers crossed. Try and get her out the house. We'll
well,
see.
tell her about those Motown songs that we doing
I'll try. I'm gonna try.
because you
I'm gonna
said she
try.
loves Motown, right?
She loves Motown. I
Okay.
love it. So I'll try. I'm not making no promises, but I'll try. I'm gonna see what I can
Okay.
do.
Okay. Well, I could see some people waving. It's probably your friends, whatever. Yeah. Um.
Because I
Hi,
can't see
all.
them waving. You can see them, but I can't see them.
Oh, okay. You don't see anything on your end?
I can
Okay.
just see when they're watching, but I can't see them waving. So if they're
Okay.
waving, I'm gonna wave back. Hey, everybody.
Hey, y'all. Well, this has been the great Miss Fatima Miller. Fatima Miller. She, again, is a model, an actress. Like I said, she's walked Fashion Week in New York and graced the cover of several magazines. She has appeared in, a few different films and web series and so forth. So be on the lookout for her because she has some big stuff coming in the coming year, which she's not at liberty to discuss yet. But the great things coming. And I mean, I understand that. You can't tell everything. So thank you so much again. And if you're not busy next Saturday from 2:30 to 3:30, I'm going to have a couple of guest hosts on the keynote
Okay.
because that's going to be my first episode where myself and the guests will be in the same room,
Oh
right?
wow. Okay.
Um, and it's going to be the cast of my newest film, Jumbled Thoughts, right? So since it's my film and I'm also in the cast as well as being my film that I wrote and
Hmm.
directed, I thought it would be a great idea to have like a guest host, right? Because I can't question myself. I mean, I can, but I think it would be better to have. So I have like two sisters that's going to be guest hosting on the keynote next Saturday at 2:30.
Oh, great. I will be tuning in.
Yeah, and so you'll get to see the cast of the show of my film, my
Of your
newest film.
film. Great.
Yeah,
And again, congratulations on your film.
thank
I
you.
can't wait to see it. However you need my support, you know I'm here.
Okay, I got you. We're going to be working together, definitely, definitely.
Oh, well, I'm humbled and honored to have been here on your platform this evening. And look, in spite of the technical difficulties,
Oh yes,
we made it. We made it, and
yeah.
we
This went
got
well. This went really well.
it went very well, and I enjoyed it. And like you said, it's just like a conversation between friends, and that in itself is very enjoyable. And again, I
Mhm.
thank you for having me here. I'm honored to be able to
I'm
collaborate with you on your
honored that you
platform
came on here.
and be interviewed by you. And again, just keep, like I said, you just say have me such in the mind of Bill Duke, and he is so dope to me. So just keep being you, regardless as to whom or what. Don't quit. Don't give up. Your hard work is really going to pay off. It
I
is.
believe that. I believe that.
Yes.
It's a challenge sometimes, but I believe that I'm not a quitter. So I'm gonna keep going. No matter who comes against me, I'm gonna keep going.
Keep going,
Right. So yeah.
man.
Yeah. All right, my sister, I love you.
Love you too.
All right,
You
thank you. See
are
you
very,
later.
very
All
welcome.
right.
Bye
And
bye.
I'll see y'all next week with my cast from Jumble Thoughts. Bye, y'all. Bye,
Bye
Fatima.
bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.